Okay. So we were talking about list functions, right? And we did map yesterday. Let's quickly look at map. Okay. So what is the purpose? When do we use map? When do we use map? When we have same function that needs to be applied over large set of values, right? So let's say I have a list 1 equal to 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19, 21, 23, 25, 27, 29. Okay. And I want to find cube of all these three values. Okay. Find
Cube of
cube.
all these values.
Okay. So same formula needs to be applied on each of these. Right. So one option is you do for loop. Okay. But what we saw was for loop is okay, but it's time consuming. Okay. We can perform using a list operation. So what list
Lambda,
does is sorry, map does is map works on a
lambda function
one
for
second.
one line calculation.
Yes, just give me 1 second. Okay, so we're talking about applying same rule over all the members of list. Okay, so one thing is you create an empty list, then use a for loop, you know, take one value at a time, apply cube and save it. Okay, that's not efficient, but the efficient step is that you use um, map function. Map works on lambda function. Now lambda is called as one line function. One line function. Okay, and it is also called as anonymous function. Anonymous function because this function does not have a name. So anonymous function, one line function, lambda functions, they are same. So what we do, we write lambda keyword first, right? After lambda keyword, we give the input values. Okay, it can be any number of input values, colon, then you give the formula, return values. Okay, so it has only input values and output value. In the sense, the logic which you can apply in one line, logic which can perform in one line, one statement, for that we can use lambda. So if you have to write 2 lines of code or more than 2, then we can't use lambda. But let's say in the cube, we can do in one line itself, isn't it? So it is a, so you'll take x as input and what you return is x into 3. This will give us cube, isn't it? So x is input and x cube is output, okay? So this is lambda. So this is the first step is to write lambda. Then over lambda, we apply map. Map is like saying lambda, okay, perform what you want to perform, and I'll give you the list of values here. Okay, so this is how you create map. Now this will be output will be actually a list. It'll be a map object. Okay, it'll be a map object. So then you have to convert this into list. When you convert into list, and you can say result equal to, now when you print the result, okay, you get P2, P2. Okay, so see, you get cube. 1 cube, 3 cube, 5 cube, 7 cube, so on. Yes. Okay, so map is an efficient way of using loop, and this is used when this is used only in case of list. When you have to perform same operation on multiple values. When you perform same operation on multiple values, that's when we apply map. Okay, so map will take one input. The lambda function that we use in map will take one function, one variable, one input, and it will give you the output that you want to perform on each value. And map will take value from list and put it in lambda. Take from list, put it in lambda, and also create a new list with the result. Okay, so that's how map is efficient. What would have taken 5 lines of code will now be done in just 1 line of code. Okay, so here this is called map. Second application, okay, here is called filter. Okay, filter is used to filter values from the list. So let's say you have same list and I want to filter values more than 15 or less than 15. You have list, you want to filter positive values. Okay, you want to filter negative values, positive values. You want to filter, let's say, higher than 1000, less than 1000, multiples of 3. You know, this situation where you have a list and you want to the output is going to be subset of the main list. Okay, subset of the main list. So what filter does is, first lambda function has to convert the values into true or false. Okay, convert value into true or false means the value which will remain there, value which remains there should be true and everything else will be false. And then filter will filter out false. Okay, so let me see. So here I want to filter out values less than 15, let's say. So how to write lambda? I will say lambda. Okay, lambda will take input x, right? You take each function. Lambda is a function. Lambda function, anonymous function, one line function. Okay, so lambda will take one input. Okay, lambda will take one input and it should give you what you have to form is either, you know, it's a comparison operator you perform here after colon. See, in map we perform a equation, we solve because we need to get the final output, but here we don't perform. Here we have to perform something that results into true or false. True means no. True means those values we need to keep it. Values which are false will be thrown out of the list. Okay, so I'm saying x greater than equal to 15. That means when you pass value x, so values which are more than 15 will stay, value which are less than 15 will have false and will come out. Okay, so lambda x input, and this one should result into true or false. The way you have to write equation here should result in true or false. So those values which will result true will be filtered out. Okay, and those false will be thrown out. Yeah, so I told you, no, lambda is used where you can define the thing in one line. See, lambda can, what I told you, lambda can be used anywhere where you can put the logic in one line. If you have logic in more than one line, you can't use it. Here there is only one line. No, you don't have two lines. So lambda can be used only when your logic is one line. More than one line logic you cannot use. Okay. Yes.
So, and
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
and or those two can be used, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
You can use. Ultimately, it should result into either true or false. That's all. Okay. So false means it will be removed from the filter. True means you keep it. Yes, true values will be in the list, false will be removed. So filter, that's what we call filter. Okay, that's what we say, filter. Okay. So this is your lambda. Now I have to pass the value to it, right? So I'm going to say filter. It works very much like map. So filter, comma, you give the list of values, list one, right? And the output has to be converted into list. So you say list. And you'll have those location I showed you, right? Dot XX, that's memory location, hexadecimal location. Okay, we can see that. Okay, we can, if you want, we'll print it. Okay, filtered values. So let's not give list now. So whenever you run something and when you see this memory location, right? Something like this, you see 0x, hexadecimal memory location where the data is. That means it's an object. Okay, and you have to convert into, so I'm going to say list of. I'll do here or there, okay, up to you. I can do list here and you get these values. Now you see, I said x greater than equal to 15. So equal to 15 is also selected, and everything more than 15 is selected. Those less than 15 are removed. Okay. Okay. So this is filter. The last one is called reduce. Now, if you see, the number of output that you get in map is same as the number of values that are there in the input. If your input list has 10 values, your output will also have 10 because you're applying same logic over all the values. Your filter, okay, will be less because we are filtering out. Okay, so it will be something between 1 and max, between 1 and n. So if all values are filtered, also you'll get empty. You can get empty also if, let's say, all values are, if I see x greater than 100, okay, obviously all the values will be filtered out. If I see x greater than 0, you'll have all the values. So it can range basically from 0 to n. Okay, reduce is used to reduce the value to 1. Okay, reduce is used to reduce the value to 1. Here what happens, you don't take one value as input, you take two values as input. You take two values as input. Okay, so all this while we take one value and we perform the operation, whether it's a filtering operation or map operation. In reduce, we take two values. Okay, and then we perform the logic that we give. Okay, so see, first of all, map and filter and reduce, all three were included earlier, but people use less reduce. So reduce was moved to something called as functools. Okay, so map filter, you don't have to import anything, but for reduce, you have to import functools. So I'm going to say from functools import reduce. Okay, and it works exactly like your other two. So let's say I take lambda, and lambda, it will take x and y, two values. It will always take two values. Okay, two values, and then we give what should we do with x and y. So x plus y, x into y, x by y. Okay, so I'm going to perform x plus y. Okay, now if I put reduce here, and if I put list 1 here, so what does it do? Okay, so it takes, see, it will run n minus 1 time. See, in first two cases, it ran n number of times. If you implement using loop, loop will run n times, first case, second case. Okay, first case, you are applying equation on each of the values. Second, you are applying the filter on each of the value. Now what it happens is, let's say if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the list. So lambda, okay, is performing x plus y. Reduce will first take 1 and 2. X will be 1 and y will be 2. X will be 1, y will be 2, and then you perform 1 plus 2. You get 3. So this is your first step. Okay, so let me do it. Step 1 is x equal to first member, y equal to second member. Okay, you get x plus y, which is 3, correct? In second step, okay, now your X becomes 3 and Y becomes the next value from this list. Okay, X becomes the previous output. X becomes the previous output and Y will take the next value from the list. So you get 3. So X plus Y now will become 6. Next step, okay, your X becomes 6. Y becomes 4. And you get X plus Y, which is 10. Okay. Now what will be the next value X? Step number 4. X will be 10. Y will be next value from the list 5. Okay. So you get 15. In the next step, you will get X equal to 15 and Y becomes 6. You get 21. No, we have 7 more. So sixth step, X equal to 21 and Y equal to 7, you get 28. And now it stops because there is no value to take from the list. Number of steps is n-1. How many numbers are there? 7. Okay. Number of steps is now n-1, 6 steps only. Because first step you're taking 2 values and rest every time you're taking 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So it's going to be n-1. So reduce will reduce the entire list value into one single value based on whatever formula you give. If you want to do cumulative sum, this is best. Okay, I want cumulative sum. I want sum of all these values. Of all these values, I will simply say reduce. Now see, reduce is giving us one value, isn't it? So I don't have to convert into list. It's not a list. It's a integer. Okay, sum is, and you can say result here, right? Now, if you want to test for this, let's do it again here. And instead of list, we will add this list. Now, if you run it, see, it is 28. Okay, this is also 10, yeah. So this is what reduce does. Reduce will apply the same logic over the entire list of values, and what you get is final evaluated output. Map will map, as the name suggests, map. It will map the operations to all the values. Filter, as name suggests, will filter out the values. And reduce will reduce it to one single value. Okay. Okay. So we'll see how to connect to the database, okay, from Python. So we have something called a SQLite 3 database, SQLite 3. Now, SQLite 3 database is it's a free database, of course. Again, RDBMS, free database, relational database management system, just like Oracle, SQL, and MySQL. This is installed only on local machine. Okay. Secure because outside your machine, nobody can connect. Nobody can connect from outside. Okay. So that's how it is able to manage the security. And most of this application, mobile apps, they will install SQLite on your front end to save your local data. Your local data will be saved on your phone. Sometimes you log in right and it doesn't ask for password. So it has saved, in your local machine. And when you, let's say, format database is deleted, then again you have to create it. So it's very simple to use. The purpose of SQLite was created was to make it simple to use database. You don't need to install very heavy software. It performs like RDBMS, okay, but it is very lightweight. It does not require a lot of security things because nobody can connect from outside, right? So it's secure in a way. So to work with SQLite 3, we need to import something called as SQLite 3. And if you do not have, I think it is there. You don't have to install SQLite 3. You can directly use it. Best part is when you install Python, SQLite database is automatically installed on your machine. Okay, when you install Python, it is automatically installed on your machine. So you don't have to install any special software also for this. Okay, it is already there. So let's say I want to create a database. So you have to say every, okay, and also, okay, let me first write this and I'll tell you. So I'm going to say connection string. Connection string is like a address. Now let's say you want to go shopping first of all, right? So before you go for shopping, first you need to figure out where exactly you want to go. Okay, which shop you want to go, location. So connection string is like a setting up that expectation. So if I have to connect to a database, which database should I connect to? So connection will have connection string equal to SQLite3.con connect. This connect method is there in all the, so if you want to connect to MySQL, you'll use different import. If you want to connect to Oracle or SQL, you'll be using different import. Import SQLite 3 for SQLite 3, import PyMySQL for MySQL. Similarly, you have others also where you can connect to different databases. Okay, so I want to connect to SQLite 3, so I'm using SQLite 3.connect. .connect method is there with all the libraries, whichever you want to connect to. PyMySQL also has .connect. Connect is where you give all the details. The best part is here there is no username password. There is no machine name given because it is in SQLite 3. Okay, because it does not have username password. It is secure because it is on your machine. Nobody else can connect. Second thing, it's on your machine, so you don't even have to give the location. It's on your machine. What we have to give is the database name, which database you want to connect to. Okay, so let's say I give, you see here, see there's nothing, right? There's no DB. So let me create something called as class nodes, let's say. Okay, and I give any name. You can give any name. So I give class nodes.db. So this became my database. Okay, and now I'm going to say con str.close. Okay, I have to close it, and all our operation has to be before close and this. Now class nodes.db, if I run this p2, so see class node.db got created automatically. So even if database is not there, it will create. If it is there, then it will not do anything. It will be there. It will just connect. Yes. If it is not there, it will create and then it connect. Okay, great. So now we'll create a simple table here. So we'll write a simple create table. I'm going to say query1 q1 equal to, okay, create table. Table name is nodes or something. Okay, and now you give your member here, right? I want to say ID equal to int, and I say primary key. Okay, so okay, ID, and then let's say description I give, and this is your text, right? Then I give, let's say, a subject. Yeah, varchar. You can give text also. So varchar, let me give varchar here. Varchar, and I say size 30, subject. Okay, so this is your, now for Python, this is simply a string. For us, it's just a string. For Python, it's just a string because Python doesn't understand SQL. Okay, when we pass this to SQL database, and if it executes correctly, that means it's correct. Otherwise, it'll give us error. Okay, so let's say I delete this comma here. Let's say just to create an error. So now this is a string. So Python will not give us error. Now, how do you connect? We need something called as vehicle. Now see, connect is only is the address that you are giving. Now you have to decide how do you want to connect there. How do you go there? Because when you go, you have to carry the query with you to the database. And sometimes you have to get output also back. So we use cursor. Okay, so I have to use cursor object. Correct. Cursor.execute. So you say here cursor equal to okay constr dot cursor. Okay, so this is like creating a vehicle. This is going to carry our query to the database. And now I want to run it. So I'll say cursor dot execute. And inside I will say Q1. Okay, now let's run it and see what happens. Okay, so it says, see, it's a SQLite error. Operational SQLite 3 operational error near description syntax. Okay, so near description, something is wrong with the syntax. That's what it says. We missed comma. So now when you add comma and run it, exit code 0. That means table has been created correctly. Now, how do you know it's created? You run it again. What happens? You get error. Table nodes already exist. You can't create the table again. Once you create it, you can't create it, right? So when I try to create it again, it says table nodes already exist. So that means our table is successfully created. So this is how you create a table. I'm going to comment this Q1 thing because we don't want to run it again, isn't it? Now I want to add some content to the table. So I'll say Q2 equal to insert into table name, right? Insert into notes. Okay. So now, so two ways, right? Syntax. One is if you want to use less number of columns and in different order, then you have to give column name also, right? So you say here, no, first I have to give the column names, ID, then you say description, then you say subject, okay? Now you say values. And now you give the values for each of the matching column. So I say 1 description, this is Python nodes to perform some action. Okay, so this is your text. Now see, SQL text is always given in single quote. Okay, not double quote. Okay, now here for Python it will work because for Python it is just a string. Okay, and I will put it and I will show you. Okay, and now subject I give is Python, let's say. Now again, to execute it, you have to say cursor dot execute Q2. Now when you run it, okay, it has run successfully. Now when I'm running it, when I run it again and again, multiple times, but see, I have said primary key, ID as a primary key, and every time giving ID 1 only. So it is accepting. Why? Okay, because see, these commands, CRUD commands, create is anyway, you're trying to change the database, right? Read doesn't do. Delete, update, and create, insert. When you do it, okay, when you connect to a database, there's a temporary session that is created. A temporary session is created where you perform all your action. You may not see, you are testing it. You may not be really, your intention may not be to save the data. You want to test it how it works, right? So that's why we do it. So if you want to save it, we have to use commit. Commit is a command to save the data into database. For create table, you don't need it. You're creating a structure. So okay, it is fine. Correct. But this update, insert, delete, you need to commit the changes. Otherwise, it will not get saved permanently. Okay. Cursor.commit, or I think connection string.commit. Okay. So after you execute, you say constr.commit. Okay, it is connection string only. Connection should commit. Now when I run it, okay, it works well. And now when I run it again, you see integrity error. Second time if you try to run it, you get, yeah, because our primary key is one, we're trying to enter second details with primary key. So this time I can make it to 2, and then I say this is sample maths notes. And here I say maths. Now when you run it, it will work fine. But again, we try to run it, it gave error, unique constraint. Okay, so I'm going to comment this one also for now. So we have performed insert. Now let's see the data, what is there in database. So to see the data, we use select command, right? Select star from nodes. Now, create and insert was like sending it to the database. You did not expect anything back from database. But when you perform select, you're getting the data also. The output will be sent to you, isn't it? So for select, when you do select.execute, so again you do cursor.execute to execute the command, and this is going to return us some value. So I'm going to say record set equal to. Okay. Now if I print it, what will get? You'll get the record set. No. I will get record set memory location. Okay. Okay. Cursor object. So to print it, you have to use loop. It is a list of tuple, right? So if I say here list, it should work. It should work. Okay. So now you see, it is a list and each row is saved as a tuple. One, this is a Python nodes to perform some actions, Python. And okay, this is what we saved in database, right? So this will be saved as return to you as list. Now you know how to handle list, you know how to handle tuple, you can handle it that way. No, it's same. Logically, all RDBMS systems are same. Logically, all RDBMS systems are same and they have to support SQL. Okay, if you are doing MySQL, the only line you have to change is this line. Output also. Okay. This is Python. No, this is written as Python. How will you give you in tabular form? You have read it like a Python. So you have got a Python object list. Now you can use for loop and create table like thing. Okay, I want to, okay, so let's see this. So instead of printing record set, what I can do, I can say for I in record set. Okay, and then I say for j in I. Print, okay, j comma and equal to, okay, 1 2 space. Okay, so what I'm doing first, I'm iterating through record set. I will be your no I will be this value first iteration. Second iteration, I is going to be this. So when I is this, in the second iteration j, I'm going inside I. That means I'll be going through 1 2 3, right? And I want to print all these three in same line. So that's why I said end equal to space. So first value space, second value space, third value. But after one row is done, I will say end. So I'm going to next, sorry, what did I say? I'm going to say print so that it goes to the next line. Okay, so when you run it, now you see, you're getting in the way you want to. If you want to give, something, whatever, right? It's up to you, whatever you want to give, right? So you get it like this. Right? So this is how you can read the content from the database. Okay, create table, insert table, read table. Your update and delete are very much like insert only. Okay, I want to delete, let's say, ID 1. Okay, let's do update first, and then we'll delete that. So update maths note, I need to change it to science. So query 4 will be what? Update. This is SQL query, right? We'll do it when we do SQL. Update table is what? Notes. Set. Okay. Update table name. So that's update notes. Set what? Set subject equal to. Subject is the column name. Equal to, let's say I do science now. Okay. So notes set subject here, subject, yes. So subject equal to science. Okay. Now if I don't say where, it's okay. The text, right? The way you enter, same way it will take. It's not a command, right? It's a text. And SQL commands are case insensitive. SQL commands are case insensitive. So whether I give update like this or I give update like this, doesn't matter. SQL commands will take it, okay, correctly only. So update notes set of subject as science. If I run it like this, both the subject will be changed to science because I did not give condition. So I have to say where id equal to 2. That means id is the primary key. Primary key means the key that uniquely identifies the rows. Okay. And now when I run it, this becomes id becomes 2. And now when you run it, okay. Now, okay. So what I'll do is I will put it before Q4 or before we run Q3 so that you can see the change there also, right? And then you have to commit it. Now see, commit for in that session is not required. So here if I do print, it will print updated value. Just that when the program ends, it doesn't save, right? So I see, okay, string.commit, but before that we have not execute it, yeah? We didn't execute it. How can we save it without executing it? Okay, so executing update is done. Now when you run it, now you see the subject got changed to science. So this is how you update. You want to delete it. Okay, so you say delete. What is the command? Delete table notes. What is the command for delete? Delete table name. Where? Delete notes. Where? id equal to 1. Let's see. Okay, error. Okay, that's not the delete command. How do you delete it? Don't remember? Don't remember? I forgot. Never done it before. Okay. Nobody remembers?
I know, I don't remember. I did not practice SQL, so.
Simple, isn't it? Okay. So you said delete from. Okay, that's the command that we missed. Delete from nodes where the id equal to 1. Now when you run it, see. So when you display, only second one is coming. Okay. First one is not coming. Okay. So this is how you can perform all CRUD applications. Okay. Okay. So I was talking about errors. So there are 3 types of errors. Okay. Generally any programming. So your errors are like, the syntax error, right? So syntax errors are the errors that is because of syntax, right? If I don't give this bracket, let's say I delete this bracket. And now when I try to run it, it'll give me error like that bracket was never closed. And Python is very well documented. That means the error messages are very helpful. By looking at the error, you will know what mistake you made. Clearly, it says that you have missed, bracket. So this is called syntax error. Syntax error means you are not giving the grammar properly. That's what you can say. Grammar is the equivalent of syntax in our natural language. This is the easiest of all to fix it. Okay, because your program will not run. Your program itself will not run. If you have syntax error, your program will not run. You have to fix it, only then you can run it. Okay, so this is easiest to find out and also to fix. What is most difficult is your second type of error, which we call as logical error. Okay, now logical error is error that you have made it and nobody else can help you. In the sense, okay, I need to add two numbers, but what I did, I subtracted two numbers or I multiplied two numbers. No, that is different thing. That is the third type of error. Logical error is, you have to add two numbers. If I tell you, you have already 10 mangoes and I give you 5 more mangoes, how many mangoes you'll have now? So instead of doing 10 plus 5, 15, you will say 10 minus 5, 5. That is the logical error. You made a mistake in logical error. Logical error, Python will not know. Python will not know whether you want to do plus or minus, right? So that is the most difficult error to fix. That's why we have test cases. Test cases is where they'll write this is input, this is output. So you put the input and you see your output and the output from computer matches or not. If it doesn't match, that means you made some logical error in the program. That is most difficult to fix. Then third type of errors are your runtime errors. Runtime errors means syntax is correct, but there are some situations where you might get that error. Not always. In some situations only you'll get that error. Okay, as you said, zero division error. So if I say a equal to 10 and b equal to 5 and I say c equal to let's say you find the total, let's say, right? And let's say c equal to, I say a by b, and I'll say a by b equal to c. Now when you run it, this is all fine without any problem. But let's say, this value becomes 0. You ask the user to enter number of subjects, user entered 0. The user entered 0 subject and you have not performed any check. And when you run it, what happens? You get zero division error. Now, this is called runtime error. Runtime error means this error you cannot figure out without running the program. Okay, we run the program and sometimes you will get it, sometimes you will not get it. Okay, now let's say, let's say I do this one. What I ask the user to input a number. So I say int of input and I say enter a number. Right? So I'm expecting user to give me number. And that's why I'm converting into int. But when I run it, okay, let's enter a number. By mistake, I give 8t. If I give t is not an integer, right? So you get this value error. Now these are your runtime errors. Runtime error means this is without your control. Okay, you can't control, but your program should be able to handle these things. Okay, good programming concept will handle these runtime errors or exceptions. Exceptions are runtime errors. These two examples are example of exception. We call them exception. Exceptions means error which has occurred at runtime. You cannot control this error. Okay, you are expecting user to enter a number, but the user has entered a name. You can't do anything. You can't force the user to, right? So, but in your programming way, you should, let's say when you are entering phone number, the mobile you're applying, you're registering for some website or something, and the column is phone number. You have entered some text. It'll give you error saying that no, this text is not allowed, right? So you have to catch it. The exceptions you have to catch it. Your program should be designed such a way that you catch this exception, because if you don't catch it, your program will end there abruptly. Okay, so you don't want a program to end, you have to catch it. Okay, so how to do it? First step is you have to predict which line can give you error. Okay, so first you have to know, you have to predict which line can give you error. Okay, so now I know that this line can give me error, right? So I will put this in a try block. It's called try block. So whichever line, whichever command you think can give you error, you have to put it in a try block. Okay, so try will check, oh, there's an error here. Now you have to catch the exception. So how do you catch? You say except exception name. Okay, so now when you give so I told you, right, first you have to predict, and you don't have to remember these values. Okay, what I do is I will purposely make error first, and then you catch this error and you say value error, whatever name you see, right, up to this colon, that becomes your exception. Okay, and now you say print, we can't proceed further because input is not valid. Yes. Okay, so now when I run it, okay, enter a number, I say 70. See, okay, first of all, it did not give you error, and you have done an what do you call graceful exit. It's not abrupt, right? You gave proper message, you gave proper reason why you are going to end the program here, right? So you are able to catch the exception. So apart from that, you also have else. Second time you are using else, apart from if else. Else is if there is no error. Okay, so let's say I perform num1 equal to num2, and I say num2 equal to input another number, and in else I will say sum equal to num1 plus num2, and you say print sum is sum. You also have something called as finally. Finally is executed in both the cases. No, finally is both the cases, error or no error. So print, thank you for using this program. See you next. See you soon. Okay, so now when you run it, okay, now you see, enter a number, I enter 5, so num1 has got 5, but for num2 I enter some junk. So what happened? It went to accept value error, we cannot proceed further because input is not valid, and then it went to finally, thank you for using the program. Okay, when you have error also, it goes here. Now I run it, and this time I give correct values. So if I give correct values 5 and 6, exception did not happen. So it went to else. Yes. Okay. So you have to write this logic in the else only. Okay. Otherwise, if I try to add here, or what you can do is, okay, we can't, invalid input. Okay. So something you can do something like this. Print invalid input, setting both the numbers to 0. Okay, now what happens here? Okay, if there is invalid input, you set it to 0. Okay, now so what I'll do, I'll probably create num1 equal to 0 here and num2 equal to 0 here. This is default values, right? Now if these are correct, they'll get new values. And invalid, setting both numbers to 0, that means you want to proceed ahead, right? So I don't want no, I will not put this in the else and finally is not compulsory. Else and finally are not compulsory. Okay, only try and accept are compulsory. So I will delete else because there's nothing to do in else, right? I will put here what So now see, I'm doing this in the finally. What? Because finally, so now when you run it, now if I give 5 and 6, for example, there's no error, right? So and num1 becomes 5, num2 becomes 6, and you go directly to finally. Oh my God. Wait. Just give me a second. I had a meeting, important meeting. 1 second. Okay. So in this case, I'm doing calculation in finally. Okay. You can reset to 0, so you know that error is there. So you can reset to 0. Now your sum is sum1 plus num1 plus num2. Sum is 0. And you print the sum. So finally will be called in both the cases, error or no error. Else will be called only in the error. Okay. But else and finally are optional. You can give, or if you don't have logic to give, in this case, in this logic, I don't have anything to give in else. So I will not give in else. Okay. But you try and accept are compulsory. So this is how you can handle errors. So what I was telling you, these are small features. Okay. These are part of